Welcome to Live Without a Car, the show where we talk about everything related to living a car-free life. My name is Amanda, and I have lived without a car for over a decade in Portland, Oregon. I'm also an economist and your host. Today, I want to talk about how my new employer in Portland lowered my transportation costs to nearly $0 back in 2016. In early 2016, I accepted a new job in Portland. I made plans to sell my current car in Orlando right before moving. I then came up with some calculations as to what my new transportation budget would be now that I did not own a car. I was set to work full-time in the office in Northeast Portland, and I strategically moved into an apartment just 1 mile away from the office, ensuring that I could walk if I so chose, which would limit my expenses. However, I knew I would need to take the bus to work on a fairly regular basis. A day pass back then was around $5, so I had a rough idea of what my new monthly expenses would be. However, the day that I onboarded at my new job, something magical happened. I heard these words: "We pay 100% of your annual TriMet pass." And my thought was, excuse me, what? I remember learning as a young adult that employers would not pay for you to commute to work unless you were in an official travel status. My first job out of college was 50 miles away, which meant I was commuting 100 miles per day on my own dime. Needless to say, I knew I was not going to choose to live that way for very long. When people think about employee benefits, they usually think about things like health insurance, retirement plans, or paid vacations. But in many cities, as I found out then, employers offer another valuable benefit that easily flies under the radar: subsidized public transit passes, like fully subsidized. I received a fully paid for annual TriMet pass from my employer, which was valued at $1,200, meaning I could commute anywhere for exactly $0 on my end. And this wasn't just on work days or to and from work. The pass covered every single public transit ride I intended to take on TriMet. So my transportation expenses went from hundreds of dollars per month in Orlando to suddenly basically nothing. The only thing I had to pay for was Uber, which was not much at all since I rarely used it, and it also was very cheap back then. Does anybody remember $5 rides? For employees, these subsidized passes can mean spending far less money on commuting. For employers, it can help attract workers, reduce parking demand, and support sustainability goals. It's a win-win that has become increasingly common in major cities across the US. Here in Portland, many employers participate in programs offered through TriMet. Companies can choose to subsidize a portion of an employee's transit costs or even provide annual transit passes fully paid for. TriMet specifically works with employers to create customized transit benefit programs that encourage employees to ride transit instead of driving, even if they do own a car. These programs matter because transportation is one of the largest expenses many households face. When employers help cover the costs, they effectively give employees a raise without increasing their wages. A worker who receives a free or discounted transit pass can save hundreds or even literally, like myself, thousands of dollars each year on transportation. For people interested in living with fewer cars or no car at all, employer transit benefits can make the math work. A subsidized transit pass lowers commuting costs, reduces parking expenses, and makes public transportation a more attractive option for those close enough to take advantage of it. So the next time you're reviewing a job offer, don't just ask about health insurance and retirement benefits. Ask whether the employer helps pay for public transit. You might discover a benefit that saves you a great amount of money every single month. Does your employer provide its employees with subsidized annual passes? Comment below with the employer and the city. Thanks for listening to Live Without a Car. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, walk slowly and enjoy the scenery. Ciao!